This is another monologue by Marriott Edgar, and it's the Battle of Hastings. I'll tell of the Battle of Hastings as happened in days long gone by, when Duke William became King of England and Harold got shot in the eye. 'Twere this way: one day in October, the Duke, who were allus a toff, having no battles on at moment, had give all his lads day off. They'd all took some boats for go fishing, when some chap at Conqueror's ear said, "Let's go put breeze up Saxons," and Bill said, "By gum, that's an idea." Then turning round to his soldiers, he lifted his big Norman voice, shouting, "Hands up, who's coming to England?" Well, that was swank, 'cause they hadn't no choice. Well, they started away about tea time. The sea was so calm and so still, and at 9:45 the next morning they arrived at a place called Bexhill. King Harold come up as they landed, his face full of venom and hate, and he says, "If you've come for regatta, you've got here just 6 weeks till 8. At this William rose cool but haughty and said, "Give us none of your cheek, and you'd best have your throne reupholstered. I'll be wanting to use it next week." When Harold heard this here defiance, in rage he turned purple and blue, and he shouted some rude words in Saxon, to which William answered, "And you?" 'Twere a beautiful day for a battle. The Normans set off with a will, and when both sides was duly assembled, they tossed for the top of the hill. King Harold he won the advantage. On th' hilltop he took up his stand, wi' his knaves and his cads all around him, on his horse, wi' his hawk in his hand. Now Normans had nowt in their favour. Their chance of a victory was small, for the slope of the field were agin 'em, and wind were in their faces and all. The kick-off was sharp at 2:30, just as soon as the whistle had went. Then both sides started bashing each other till swineherds could hear 'em in Kent. The Saxons had best line of forwards, well armed with both buckler and sword, but the Normans had best combination, and at half-time neither had scored. So Duke called his cohorts together and says, "Let's pretend as we're beat. Once we get Saxons down at level, we'll cut off their means of retreat." So they ran, and Saxons ran after, just exactly as William had planned, leaving Harold alone on the hilltop, on his horse, wi' his hawk in his hand. And when Conqueror seed what had happened, a bow and a harrow he drew. He went right up to Harold and shot him. He were offside, but what could they do? The Normans turned round in a fury, and gave back both parry and thrust, till the fight were all over 'bout shouting, and they couldn't see Saxons for dust. And after the battle were over, they found Harold so stately and grand, sitting there wi' an eye full of arrow, on his horse, wi' his hawk in his hand.